here, and very excited to bring on today's guest because I get to talk to another marketer. So I think we're going to have a lot of gold nuggets in this interview that I'm very excited to share to help you grow your coaching business. Now, with that being said, if you want to be interviewed on the Six Figure Coaches Show, we interview top level coaches, like the top 1%. So those coaches doing over 250K per year or higher. If you want to be interviewed and promoted on this show, all you have to do is go to podcast.lukecharlton.com, podcast.lukecharlton.com, and you can go through the application process there to get booked in on this show, and we can be having a conversation with you about your coaching business. Okay, so with that being said, let me bring on today's guest. Now, today's guest, as I said, he's another marketer. He runs a very, very successful marketing agency. Actually, I'm going to go through I've got his list of clients that he's worked with. So he's worked with Realtor.com, Geico, Advertising.com, Reachlocal, and literally thousands of other local businesses. So he has a wealth of marketing knowledge, and that's why I'm very excited to bring him on. Rahul Alim. Now, Rahul, welcome to the Six Figure Coaches Show.
I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited.
Let's drop some value for everybody.
Yes.
Let's give the audience some serious value today.
Let's do that. Now, you've been running your agency for 16 years, is that correct?
Since 2004, so a little bit longer. So okay, it feels like with a marketer, it's like dog years. So if you times it by 7.
Yeah, I know how you feel. So that's a long time to be running an agency. So you must have seen some pretty crazy changes in the industry. So let's go back to like when you first started in 2004. Like, what were you actually doing? What type of marketing were you doing back then for your clients?
Basically enhanced based marketing. And all I simply mean by that is I wouldn't make their marketing campaigns that they ran. I would make the marketing campaigns they ran better. So I would enhance them. So people were running a lot of like online paid traffic, like Google display ads, and they were building or running their ads to funnels, which were landing pages.
Yep.
So instead of being their media agency and competing in the agency space, I became the ally of the agencies and also a go-to for the end client by just kind of meeting them in the middle and saying, hey, I create amazing graphics that are click conversion friendly. And I also create the funnels that will take your advertising dollar, optimize them even further so you can get clients from click to conversion so your sales team has leads. Okay. So that's where I kind of found my niche and carved my first path before I got into full-blown digital marketing.
Okay, cool. And how long before you went into like more of an agency type model?
Yeah, so I stayed in that model a long time because we sort of quote unquote became a little bit of a category king there.
Yep.
And when I met with the founder and CEO of this massive agency, represented JetBlue, Taco Bell, HBO, and it was called Huge Incorporated. And I wanted his clients, and he was just like, "Why? You're really good with the smaller, like needy clients. We're really good with the big ones. And at the end of the day, you want to make a lot of money. You want to help a lot of people.
Yep.
There's riches in your niche, and there's riches in mine. Choose which one you're best at." And I stayed in my niche. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I just stayed there for about, 6 years or so before we expanded into like Facebook ads, Google ads, optimizing websites for Google traffic, just because we had so many partnerships. Like we had the best of both worlds. The agencies wanted to hire us because they didn't want to have web developers and graphic designers on our team. So we're like, oh, that's so cool. Like they get the client, outsource it to us. We charge them. They pay us on time. They get a markup, and then they don't have to hire anybody. They have a group of experts. And the end client would come directly to us because we ranked pretty well on Google and other search engines. So we kind of had the best of both worlds, and it kind of built our business and the backbone and led to working with the names that you mentioned in my intro.
Yeah, that's some big clients there. So, but your niche is local, like smaller businesses, is that right? So you had some bigger ones.
Our niche, they're smaller businesses, typically in and around the range of like $1 million to $5 million per year.
Yep.
Those are kind of our sweet spots where we have enough marketing budget to test, explore, make some mistakes, but also still churn a really hefty ROI.
Okay, cool. And that's just who you're working with to this day. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Is there a specific market that do you advertise, like multiple demographics, like industries, or like do you go after a specific type of industry, or is it just like, hey, small business owners? Like, what's your message?
Yeah, it right now it's a broad based on our end client, and we have since we have such like a long history of what we do, and we've never changed phone numbers, domain names, physical addresses. Like
Mhm.
we've been like a pillar in what we've been doing for a long time. So we built like an army of referral networks, partnerships. So we have a lot of inbound requests, and now it's
Yeah.
just more on our end, a pick and choose type thing
Ah,
of who
nice.
would be the best ideal customer, not only for us to serve them, but also for our team to maximize our resources too.
Yeah.
Because our goal is to stay lean. We're not trying to be an army of numbers and lose quality control.
Yeah.
We want to stay lean, mean, and then we want to work with people who have long-term visions by working with us. We don't do the short-term relationships with many people. If we have to earn our stripes, so be it. As long as we have a really long-term perspective of it, minimum a year. Even if we start with like a 3-month trial, like honeymoon stage, we want to
Yeah.
make sure that our clients understand that business is meant to be sustained over a long period of time. Nobody
Yeah.
really said, "Hey, I want to start a business for 3 months and then figure it out." And
Yeah.
that's kind of how we feel people should be hiring marketers, like with a long-term perspective as well.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Okay, cool. So does that mean, and this is a quick lesson that I want for the coaches listening in. When you've been in the industry for a long time, it doesn't have to be digital marketing. Like this is just any market, right? It don't even be a coach. It's just business in general. You get such a reputation that you kind of the cream rises to the top, right? And then you're positioned. I want to show you the. I'm trying to communicate the value of positioning, right? So when you're in the industry for a long time, you get great results. You become like known. Then all of a sudden, like as you mentioned, like a lot of your um, your lead generation, it sounded like it was a lot of kind of referrals, organic, based on your reputation and name over the last almost 20 years now. And that is it takes a long time to get to that type of business where you can literally pick and choose. But am I right in saying that? Is that where you are? You don't probably, does it sound like you don't actually advertise that much for your own business anymore? Is that
No,
correct?
we do because we do have a coaching business as well, where we
Okay,
coach
cool.
people to do exactly what we do, and in that avatar is pretty much coaches and marketing agencies that
Mhm.
wanna launch their own online business as well.
Okay.
But let me back up for a second because there's the rhyme makes sense, riches and niches.
Yeah.
We started off only in real estate. Like, we
Mm.
were literally making banner ads, those square graphics, the rectangles, any shape you ever wanted, the
Yeah.
flashing ones, the moving ones, etcetera, only for the real estate niche, developers, contractors, mortgage, real estate agents, brokers.
Yeah.
So we stayed in that category for a very long period of time. And then we started to be able to expand. So I
Okay.
think everybody should have some sort of niche so they can kind of master and conquer an industry before you start thinking broadly where you can help everybody. Because
Yeah.
had we not mastered a single individual niche, we would have never been able to develop like procedures and standard
Right.
operating like
Right.
formats that we can follow. Because like too many people are working with like a plumber or a doctor or a lawyer, and it's too early in their career where all of those things are totally different customers, totally different needs, totally
Yeah.
different personas. So it makes it really hard to scale when you're broad early.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's interesting. So do you still get leads coming in from like your original niche?
Oh, yeah, all
Real
the
estate?
time. Like, we just finished a master class right before I got into this,
Yeah.
and we had, like, real estate agents that knew me from literally 20 years ago. Like, one of the
Yeah.
guys on there, I designed all of his funnels, all of his ads, in fact, his logo,
Yeah.
did all of his graphics and branding, and he was on there. Yeah.
You know what's weird? Like I had like recently, because I've been doing this for like 10 years now as well. Not as well as in like, I mean, a long time. And it was only until maybe the last like year where um like I've had a few like for example, Mind Valley reached out to me the other day to help them see if I can help them scale their advertising campaigns, like the coaching certification. And I said, that's like, where did you guys even like, how did you even know about me? And they're like, oh, we asked around and, people said, yeah, you're legitimate or whatever. And it was really, and that's happened to me a few times over the last 12 months. And I've been in business for like 10 years now, but that's happening
Mhm.
like more and more often. And like, this is kind of like what you just described, right? Is like you've been in business so long that you actually start developing a name in your industry. And that affords you a certain luxury that you don't have when you're first starting out, right? Because you don't have any name. So I don't know if you want to speak to that on the value of just having that long-term view and the benefits of the positioning once you get to that stage.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta be aware of, like, because obviously you're good at networking, you're good at working with clients, and as a marketer, you also have to be patient as well, because it does
Mm,
take a long time to build a reputation that people can trust. You have to be
right.
present in the communities that you do business with, so you can be, like, liked, known, trusted, all that good stuff. And then your network, you have to just take advantage of it when it's in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like, I was you never know where somebody it is you can help. Like, this morning, the guy sitting next to me, we just started chatting, and that dude just raised $130 million for his business. Had
Wow.
I just not started that conversation, I don't get to actually tell him what I do too.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I've seen him at Starbucks a couple times, we just didn't have the luck to sit next to each other.
Yeah.
So now next time we see each other, we're now gonna be chatting it up, we're gonna be nurturing in that relationship, and I don't know what specifically niche or relationship that can lead into, but all I know is that my job is to have a beer with him and talk business in the next, like,
Yeah.
couple weeks, and
Yeah.
then we have a informal relationship, and it can lead to, who knows, maybe doing a campaign for a major university or whoever his niche is, just by being, like, a good networker.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. So who are so you work with coaches now, which is obviously, that's the audience that we're speaking to right now. So let me ask, like, how do you help? Like, I'll take a couple steps back. Do you help coaches that are just beginning? I think you mentioned like launching their coaching business. Is that correct? So they're kind of like the starting stage. Is that right?
Yeah, we have a bunch of starter levels, like free coaching where it's like live on the internet in our Facebook group. We have low ticket coaching where we charge $47 a month, which it's like Zooms every single week. And then we have some more like intimate coaching where it's 7 days a week. Yes, 7 days a week.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Well,
we have a pretty like good coaching program, but it's meant for every different level. So we can get them from point A to point B, C, D,
yeah.
because like our whole thing is people have too much skepticism today, so we wanted to eliminate that
Yeah.
by having a starting point for everybody, because the only thing people are hurting is themselves if they don't invest in themselves.
Right.
And when
Right.
you don't invest in yourselves, you're just telling the world, I don't believe in my own skills, so therefore I'll sell you my skills, and then they're not going to buy from you. It's kind of that law of mirrors. So I wholeheartedly believe, instead of investing in real estate or investing in Microsoft stock, invest in your own business, because your ROI is way greater.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing that like blows my mind when people talk about like 5% return, 10% returns. Like if you know how to do advertising right, you can get like 12 to 1. 10 to this is like 12,000% returns. It's
Yeah.
it's
And the one
crazy.
thing is the compound effect. Like, you get
Right.
better over time when you get
Yeah, yeah,
skilled, level up your skill. But then also think about like leads you generate today. What
yeah.
if they bought in 6 months and
Mm,
it was from being present today, now, not I'll think
yeah.
about it one day, someday shit. It's talking about like that present value keeps growing and growing and growing. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a 12 to 1. It could be 100 to 1 if you compound it over time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm talking about just front end, like
Yeah, front end.
conversions,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's funny you mentioned that because I had a client who, yeah, had been on my list for 18 months by last month. And then like the same week, a lady who'd known me for like 5 or 6 years that had been on my list. And then she eventually now pulled the trigger. So I think a big message here, I don't know if you can speak to this, Rahul, is I think a lot of business owners, and this is particularly for coaches, right? They see that, oh, I'll get, earn 30K a month, earn 50K a month, 100K a month, which is like, you can earn that. But it's that short-term view that a lot of us coaches have, right? If you have the long-term view, like obviously you do, right? You've been in business for like 20 years. For me, that's more important. Like if you're patient and you have that long-term view, and you look at this as like, this is my career, so I'm just gonna stick with it until I succeed, like you will succeed. But I think there's too many coaches that have a short-term view. They want to get to that revenue goal so quickly without really realizing, that you want to build a business that's built on solid foundations, that's going to grow and be an asset for many years to come. And I don't think a lot of coaches realize, like, have that mentality going in. I don't know if you can speak to that at all.
100%, because everybody is so quick to try to get to 10, 20, 30 grand, some round number. It's
Mm,
arbitrary. But
yeah.
when you kind of like go back in life and you talk about, like, when you mentioned foundations, like to get foundations right, which you're not built on a house of cards where it can fold at any given time.
Yeah.
When you have the right simple steps on the front end, it literally tees you up for the long game of everything, because
Mm.
you really just have to fall in love with the process first. And I know that sounds really, really corny, but if you fall in love with the process, then you make sure it's worth it. Once you know
Yeah.
it's worth it, you'll do whatever it takes. So you're living, breathing this stuff because you want to, and then at
Mm.
some point you're going to feel you need to. And once you get into that mode
Mm.
of you need to do this, then you're just unstoppable, because then
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
can stop you from banging your head against the wall. When you fail, you don't look at it any as failure. You're looking at it as, hey, I just learned what didn't work today. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing. And
Yeah.
you go at it again tomorrow. But yeah, you can't have that short term perspective, because the money will come along the way. But just think about, like, how old are people right now? If you're 25 years old, think about how long you have to live, right?
Mm.
But 25 years, it took you a long time to get here if you're 25 in this example.
Yeah.
So if you invest like a couple years into your business and stay true to it, think about how many 30 grand months you could possibly have if you have a 2, 3 year perspective
Yeah.
versus that shiny object syndrome of earn 10K in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly right.
You know, because that's out there. Because
Yeah.
typically
Yeah.
people who make
How
that
many
kind of
ads do you see in
offer,
that? How
yeah.
competitive is the coaching space now? Is like the last 2 years, it's gone. Like everyone wants to be a coach now, and you see all these offers online. Like, I will help you get 10 clients in 10 days, or you don't pay, and I'll send you 20 grand, or this is.
Yeah, I had a person go through. I know this person, and I like them, and they ended up like being more intimate of students in the future. But they bought a $97 master class that we call the Perfect Stranger Method. It's like an organic method to get clients. Anyways, after that class, I saw them selling the organic master
Oh
class,
my
and they just
gosh.
kind of regurgitated what we did, and I was like, we're not here to teach you how to do that shit. We're teaching you how to go execute it, earn your stripes, prove it, and get
Yeah.
fail a bunch of times and still make it out on the other side. So we don't want to promote that at all. We want to make sure that
Right.
people like learn a skill, implement the skill, and then earn, like, because there's no barrier to entry. I can't
Yeah.
prevent somebody from being a shitty coach. Like
Yeah.
they're just gonna
Yeah.
do it anyway. So,
Well,
but that's kind of like that's the biggest expense every marketer, every person in life has, is taking advice from the wrong person.
right, and I did that for the first few years. Terrible,
Yeah.
but man, I could tell you some stories. Um, but yeah, so that's again, this is why people like yourself, why you end up where you are right now, which is literally you just have a lot of referrals, organic leads. You're positioned up here, and business is so much easier for you now because you have earned your stripes, you've gone through those failures, and a lot of people don't get to experience the type of business that you run because they're not willing to go through that. They're just for the, I want to be a coach, I want to do coaching calls from Zoom or whatever, and then have this lifestyle business where I work 1 hour per day and earn 50K a month and everything's great. Like that type of person, they're not going to, they're in it for the wrong reasons, as we've just discussed. So you can have the business that the gurus talk about, which is the funny thing, but what they don't talk about is like what it takes to get there, like what it really takes, which is what we're discussing right now. But yeah, you can have that,
Yeah.
but it just takes a bit of time and effort.
It takes a lot of sacrifice to
It
become
does.
that overnight success, right? Because like when people they see today version of people, they don't
Mm,
see the, like in my case 20 years, in your case 10 years, in other
mm.
people's cases whatever time it took to get to that overnight success.
Yep.
Right?
Yep,
Because if you
absolutely.
met me for the first time today, you might be impressed, but then if you met me 20 years ago, you'll be like, "Dude, this guy's just working 20 hours, doing it all,
Right.
sacrificing the
Yeah.
beer nights that he really wanted to go on." So I had to
Yeah.
change as a person and put that work in, so then
Yeah.
I don't have to ever work again. Like
Yeah, exactly right.
now I'm
Yeah.
doing this because I need to, not because I have to. It's because
Right,
this is
right.
what I truly passionate about. So yeah,
Yeah.
you get that change in circumstances from like hand to mouth sacrifice, then the money comes in, and then you get possessive and like obsessed with like the
Mm.
process and the game, and the
Yeah.
money is a consequence that comes along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same actually. Like I have another podcast that I do where I just do like almost daily content. It's like 5 to 10 minute episodes. And like it's like it's like a need. Like you feel because you like the process so much. Like I feel like I have to get this bit. Like I have to get this message out. Like I have to record this this podcast. Like that's where I am. It's like you really do enjoy the process. Actually, I'm reading a book at the moment by this guy named Wes Watson. I don't know if you've heard of him before, but he spent 10 years in in prison. Within 3 years of being out, he's like a multi-millionaire. So he started with like $200. They give you $200 when you leave prison, and 3 or so years later, he's like a multi-millionaire. He has like multiple Rolls Royces, and what he was saying is that when you start, like, his whole thing is like kind of almost like fitness, but that's just the byproduct, he calls it. Like in prison, to keep himself sane and to be the leader and to make sure people didn't die, basically, is he would do lots of workouts, and part of that was, it's not so initially he did it because he wanted to put on muscle, but then it became more about like he needed to actually work out each day to to not descend into, like, because he was in a California prison, right, and which is one of the worst places to be incarcerated. And it became a place where he needed to work out every single day or multiple times per day. That was part of his process. And I think that's a really important lesson. And he continues to do that this day. And this is, other people now follow his process. And that's why he's become so wealthy, is because he just shared the process that he used in prison. Anyway, the point is, falling in love with the process, like as a coach, like if you want to get to the 30K, 40, 50K month, that's just the byproduct. Once you love the process, those months will come, but they're going to be so much harder for you to achieve if you don't actually love the process. So yes, initially it does start out with a bit more of a juvenile kind of goal of like, I would love to get 50K a month. But then as you go along, you really will fall in love with the process to a point, as you said there, Rahul, where you really will, you enjoy it. You need to do it because it's just something that you really love to do.
100%. And then like once you crack the code and you feel that momentum, then you become so much more efficient with your skill, your time, your freedom, your family. I mean, because at the end of the day, what do we all want? We want free time. We want to spend it with our families. And then we want to start to think a little bit bigger once you get down the road and start making some money. Then you want to start to think investment strategy and wealth preservation. Then the last part of it is legacy and philanthropy. So like, what's your next generation look like, and how can you help other people in need, right? So those are kind of like the buckets of evolution. But you got to take care of yourself first, just like on the airplane analogy. You put your own mask on first, then you take care of others, even your own children. So if you don't take care of your own cup, you can't help others. So I think you have to have some kind of like obsession of being like selfish at first, obsessed to master the process. And I mean, those are really just character traits. And you can train yourself to have that Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality and that killer instinct. But it's only when you kind of love like that industry, because if you're doing it for the money, you'll be chasing something and money will run away from you. But if you're doing it because you like the industry a lot, you're disrupting the industry, man, you can make so much good shit happen just by having the right attitude. Not even great skill, just attitude first, and then your skill will catch up with your effort.
Yeah, it was like that Southwest slogan, right? It's like hire for attitude, train for skill. A family friend asked, she's was going into university, and she said like, she asked me like, what advice do you actually know? It was the mother that asked me, and they're both sitting there, the girl and the mother. She said like, Luke, you're kind of successful. Like, what advice do you have? And I said to her, look, if you want to be successful in this world, like it's so easy to be successful if you have the right attitude. Because at the end of the day, most people, like, they really don't want to work that hard. Like I said to her, look, if I wanted to get a job at like whatever company it was, let's say you really wanted to work for, let's pick Tony Robbins as an example, right? See, I know that it's very hard for entrepreneurs to find motivated people, like people that will have the right attitude, right? Take action, that are passionate about the subject. So if I wanted to work with Tony Robbins, like if I was like 18, I would literally go and intern with him for free. I would literally I'd knock on the door and I'd say, I'm here to get a job to work with you for free as an intern. And if they turn me away, I'd be back there the next day. And I'd be back there the next day. I'd be back there the next day. And I would just keep showing up. Actually, this was a story in, Think and Grow Rich, I think it was, where this guy wanted to work with Thomas Edison, and he just literally showed up on Thomas Edison's door and knocked on the door and said, I'm here to work with you. And he didn't give up until he got given a job. That type of attitude, that type of action taking, that type of not willing to give up until you get the yes, is what like 99.999% of the population don't have, right? They will just have, they won't even take action on the thought, let alone keep going back and back. So if you have that attitude of just that bulldog of just dun, 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 like it's so easy to be successful. You don't need, coming back to what you're saying, you don't need the skills. You can learn the skills, right? You can, that's something that can be trained. The attitude, funnily enough, is, which is anyone, you can just have it, like you can choose to have a great attitude. It's just a choice. But it's something that people don't, it's the easiest choice to make, but it's people that are not willing to make that choice. So if you have that attitude, it's so easy for you to be successful. I'm not saying that it's not a difficult journey. What I'm trying to say is that's the prerequisite to success. That is so much of your success is just your attitude, because the skills you can train. I don't know if that
Yeah, and you like once you have pride in your own work and you stamp your effort as like my best effort, that's the first step. That's like if I put in a half-ass effort today, the only person I'm tricking is myself. I'm not gonna lie to myself. I know deep down my heart I had a shitty day. So
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
when I don't try and I know when I try, but a lot of it is also the circumstances and the environment you're around, right? So if you're in a good environment, you're gonna get yourself around like better thought leaders, better people rising you up. The rising tide lifts all boats. And like I've met some really cool people in my life, like CEO of Sony Home Entertainment. Like who in the world has never heard of Sony?
Yeah,
Probably
right.
everybody,
Yeah.
right? So I'm sitting literally next to him, and then I ended up interviewing him at my house and having a one-on-one. I just figured he's a silver spoons dude that was given this gift of going to the best colleges with a red carpet, but nah, he was like a street guy. Like, and I'm like, oh wow, this guy's intriguing now. And then I just said, let's fast forward to when you were the CEO, and and he was a CEO for a decade of Sony Home
Yeah.
Entertainment. Previous to that, MGM Home
Wow.
Entertainment. So we're talking about the biggest brands in the fucking world for entertainment. And I said, what's your trick to leadership of leading thousands of people? And it was one simple word. So what I'm getting at is, and I'll tell you the word in a sec, is the biggest people, what we think are in the world, these big, huge job titles, they think so simply. And his only word was empathy. How did he be able to empathize? He meditated. Very simple process. And then he became a true leader. He empathized with the staff. He saw their point of view, and then he can lead them much more
Yeah.
effectively. It's just so crazy how when we get all complex in our mind and we need these Zapier things and funnels and memberships and tools and softwares, that's the solution. The reality is this is the solution right up here, your mind. Once
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
clear that, you stay super duper simple. Even 20 years ago, the way my offers work, the way my funnels work, the way my advertising campaigns work are from 20 years ago. The
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
thing that changed is a little innovation along the way.
Yeah. 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 Bit of
That's really it.
a bit of tech. Yeah. And that's what I say. And that's my kind of message as well, Rahul, is getting onto like the marketing side of things now. At the end of the day, and this is where like technology has kind of clouded what business is, right? All business is you're just solving a problem for a market, right? So you've got a market, they've got a problem, they want to help with their relationship or lose weight or get more clients, right? You've got a market with a problem, and then you have the solution. And you're just providing that solution, you're getting money in exchange, right? There's that exchange of value. That's all business is. So what like funnels and bots and SMS and DMs, they've kind of clouded what that is. So, and that's why we really forget, like, and this is what I would say, and probably the same for you, right? 95% of where I help my clients is those two things. I help them get clear on, okay, what actual problem are you solving? Because that's not clear right now. Let's get clear on let's start with the market, clear on the problem. And then how does your solution solve that problem? Like what's the best offer that we can come up with to speak to that? And then we get those, that's like 80% of your marketing, campaign right there. And then, you set up the landing pages and you kind of now create an advertisement, but that's 80% of your success right there, which is, again, that's just a fundamental thing, coming back to what you're saying, like keeping it simple. And then all of the tech does is really just help you to get that message maybe a little bit easier, a little bit more efficiently. But if you don't have a good, like those two foundations, the tech is just going to speed up your crappy message, if that makes sense. It's just going to make you fail a
100%.
bit quicker.
Yeah. I mean, because I know a lot of people that will focus so heavily on the opposite things. Like you just mentioned 80% of success.
Mm.
Most people will put 100% of their energy on that other 20%
Right,
and then
right.
forget that that first 80% is really the golden goose that lays all the eggs.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, you can have an amazing offer, an amazing target audience, amazing pain you solve with shitty funnels, and you'll still be very successful.
You're right,
You
exactly
know,
right. Yeah, I've seen
like you
some
don't need
ugly
fancy
funnels
stuff.
convert. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
so I think that like when you kind of move further along, then you start to get luxurious. It's kind of like a lot of people like
yeah.
Lambos, right? They like
Right,
the
right.
fancy cars, they want that shit. But now when you get more successful, you got to keep training your brain to think as simple as possible,
Yeah,
because then you want the 7-step funnel, you want the fancy stuff moving. But the
yeah,
reality is all that stuff is costs you more money,
yeah,
cause more revisions, more breaks in your process, and then you try to level up the next time. But if you keep everything simple, focus on your end client, what problem you solve, how
yeah.
much you're worth, and then you can always just send them up with more services or sell them
Right.
more of the same thing as you go.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm in total agreement. Okay, cool. I'm going to leave the interview there because um, I think what we've discussed is one of the most key things to success, and that's kind of like your mindset and your attitude. And we really dived into that, and I think that is so critical for the coaches listening in. Um, we could go through a lot of different strategies right now. I know, again, you're a marketer and teach new strategies to coaches, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to we'll give you you can do a call to action. Coaches can go to learn more about you in a second if they want to learn more specific strategies. But I'm not going to do that because I want the coaches listening in just to think about what we've discussed today and what it really takes to be successful in terms of having the right attitude, having things like being patient, being persistent, having the long view, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's such a powerful message. So my final question to you, Rahul, and this is I ask this to all guests. That is, so you're standing at the top of a mountain, and there's thousands of coaches below you, and you can only shout to them one message for them to be successful. What is that one message?
Just start.
Just start.
That's it. Just start. Like if you're out of shape, just start the gym. If you want to make a sale, go call somebody that can buy. If you want to make an offer, go write it down and go put it in the planet, because most people are fearful to just start. And then
Yeah.
when you start, then you take the next just start move. So it's like step by step, you just start everything and get uncomfortable. And that's what prevents people from being great. And when you take simple advice and just start and just do
Mm,
it and get your ego out of the way,
mm,
you will see success immediately. You will
yeah.
get rid of that persona that you feel is what is it, like you feel fake, right?
Mm,
Imposter
mm.
syndrome. That's the word I'm looking for. A lot of people
Yeah,
feel
yeah, yeah.
imposter syndrome. Once you eliminate that and just start, you're going to see what the world thinks of your talent, and they're going to love it.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. I was listening to I listen to a lot of YouTube, and there was a guy talking. He talks to kind of like young guys, helping them be more successful. And like one of the things that young guys have is like, I'm not confident, right? And the guy was like, well, yeah, you're like 21 years old. You don't have anything to be confident about. You haven't done anything. So why would you be confident? The way that you get confident is you actually do the things that you're not good at, and then that confidence grows. So I think that really comes back to like what you were just saying there is like, if you want to eliminate that imposter syndrome, just start doing the things. And as you move forward and start taking steps, that confidence will grow. And all of a sudden there's no imposter syndrome. There's kind of like no limiting beliefs. And as you said, you become unstoppable.
Well, I mean, you can't see this right now because my camera blurs the background out a bit, but
Yep.
this poster over here is a picture of me and my dad, and
Yep.
above it, there's a quote that he always told me every single day, and I'm sure it's probably a famous quote from somebody else, but I don't really care. I'm giving him the credit, but it just says, "Winners do it now," and that
Yeah.
just means to me, just start. And that's
Yep.
why this sweater right here, this brand of our coaching name with the little on button,
Yep.
it's all over. It's on my pillow. It's on my wall. It's on the TV. It stands for Get Shit Done. That's the
Okay,
actual
cool. I
name of
wondered
my
what the
coaching program.
GSD method was. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that actually leads nicely into the final part, which is, Rahul, where can the coaches listening go to learn? I have to get the notification. There's some swearing in this. Where can the coaches go to learn about you and your Get Shit Done method?
Yeah, like the easiest way is on social media because that's where I spend a lot of time networking and helping people. So if you want access to me, go to joingsd.com/group, and that'll be a whole community of thousands upon thousands of coaches, marketers, people just helping each other. And we coach every single week live for free in there, so it's a good starting point for many, just to kind of get to know what's available. But yeah, that's the best method, and you'll see me there on the picture on the banner, and you can always connect with me on Facebook too.
Okay, cool. Cool. All right. Thanks, Rahul. I appreciate your time. Go check out Rahul for those that are listening in. And yeah, once again, thanks for giving me your time and sharing. I knew this was going to be a valuable interview. I didn't think that it would be going down kind of like more the mindset side of things. But as I said, I think that's so valuable to and so key and critical to becoming successful. So thank you for the interview. And good luck with everything in the future. And thanks for all the coaches listening in. We'll see you guys on next week's episode. See you then. Cheers.